But they also need to look at how they're talking about women. I mean, this bromance and this masculinity stuff, I mean, it borders on edgy to the point that it's going to make women uncomfortable. You know, you've got affiliated PACs that are doing commercials about calling Kamala the C word, or you had speakers at Madison Square Gardens, you know, referring to her and her pimps. That is not the way to win women. That is not the way to win people who are concerned about Trump style.
Okay, let's be serious. Nikki Haley, I don't want to hear it, okay? You know, because you've been saying this stuff for quite some time about how Trump has to be more appealing to women and he has to do a better job not calling Kamala Harris names. But you still endorsed him, but you still supporting him. Despite all the things that he does, it doesn't make a difference. You ain't no different than anybody else in MAGA.
Trump was not well served by those around him last night. It wasn't a Nazi rally. All that's nonsense. But I'm telling you, even for me, and I voted for Donald Trump last week, it was too brotastic. Okay? It was. You're trying to win an election in which you're hemorrhaging female voters. Maybe when you present in front of hundreds, thousands at least, at Madison Square Garden, you clean up the bro talk just a little so you don't alienate women in the middle of America who are already on the fence about Republicans. Do they have no women advising their campaign? Is there no actual woman sitting behind the scenes, coming up with the guest lineup and saying, let's just have a word with the guys who are going to be speaking about this isn't the bar. This isn't their living room. This is a campaign. This is politics. We're trying to get him elected. We don't need to rally the base or guys anymore.
Donald Trump said that he could go out on Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and his supporters wouldn't leave him. It appears that that's largely true. Now, unfortunately for him, early voter surveys and early voter turnout numbers are showing that a decent percentage of Republicans are actually not voting for him. You know, I expect a good 5 to 10%, somewhere in that margin, to vote for Kamala Harris. And he doesn't have the independents because all he's doing is shrinking his base. And that's all he's done this whole entire campaign.
I just think that they need to focus primarily on who it is they're talking to. You've got Americans who are absolutely going to vote for Trump. You've got Americans who are absolutely not going to vote for Trump. And then you've got a percentage in the middle who like Trump policies but don't like his style. That is what they need to focus on. So when you look at these things, it has got to be a story of addition. This is not a time to have anyone criticize Puerto Rico or Latinos. This is not a time for them to get overly masculine with this bromance thing that they've got going. 53% of the electorate are women. Women will vote.
At the end of the day, Trump supporters and the Republican Party at large, for that matter, really have no credibility. Donald Trump has done everything that could possibly be considered disqualifying. I mean, before we even get to this campaign, this dude tried to overthrow the government. He tried to stay in office when he lost. Thousands of people stormed the Capitol. That's crazy. That's not normal. That's crazy. And this dude then racked up 34 felonies. He got all these other convictions. Well, rather, he's got all these other charges that he's almost certainly going to get convicted on. And it doesn't matter what he says. It doesn't matter what he does. It doesn't matter what interviews he skips out on. This dude gave the worst debate performance anybody has ever seen, up on stage talking about Haitians are eating people's pets. And no matter what this dude does, his supporters are either going to be like, I didn't hear him say that. Or if they did hear him say it, oh, well, that's not what he meant. Okay, so if we can't take his words on face value, then why should he be the president? Why do we have to play all these guessing games? But at the end of the day, Donald Trump is a very simple person, and it's not hard to understand what he stands for and what he does.
She is some sick Hillary Clinton, huh? What a sick son of a The whole party, a bunch of degenerates.
She is the devil, whoever screamed that out. She is the Antichrist. It's going to be pretty hard to look at us and say, you know what? Kamala Harris, she got 85 million votes because she's just so impressive. As the first Samoan, Malaysian, low IQ, former California prosecutor ever to be elected president.
I don't think anybody has ever seen anything like what happened the other night at Madison Square Garden. The love in that room, it was breathtaking, and you could have filled it many, many times with the people that were unable to get in. But Politicians that have been doing this for a long time, 30 and 40 years, said there's never been an event so beautiful. It was like a love fest, an absolute love fest, and it was my honor to be involved.
But it's almost over. Like I said, the early vote tabs and the early voter surveys are looking really good for all of us. You know what I mean? It's looking good for Kamala, and by extension, it's looking good for us. Because we just really, really don't need this dude back in office. You know, I understand that Kamala may have her issues, but come on. I mean, there's really there's nothing to discuss here. So all any of us really have to do at this point, just go out, go vote, and it'll be all over.